Hi, thanks for tuning in to Embrace the Madness. This is Madeline. Here we just talk about the crazy parts of our existence and what to do with them. So I am still, I'm just in this state of kind of limbo, like disbelief, confusion, weird calmness. I'm not really sure what's going on, but the whole globe has been taken over with the coronavirus. And I'm just am still like, whoa, what just happened? We were just doing normal things not that long ago, and now it's like infiltrated our lives. We have to be mindful of where we're going. We have to be mindful of, do we have enough food to last us for the next few weeks if we can't? It's just weird. Like all of our values and priorities have just shifted like 180. And it's just really interesting to think about because a lot of this stuff we take it for granted. We don't think like, oh yeah, we could be completely eradicated as a species at any moment. Just you wait. So yeah, last week it's still like, what the heck? Last week we talked about my birthday, and choosing yourself is the best thing you can do to change your life and make it better for yourself. And I kind of shared what my past year's been like and kind of different lessons that I learned. It was really good. It was really cool reflecting on all the stuff, the good and the bad. So this week I was going to talk about, like, I'm going to do relationships as the next part of the podcast. And in the meantime, there's just been a whole what the heck's going on. And I have been thinking, I work in the service industry, so this is like one of those situations where my job's going to be impacted, and that's like a weird job security that you don't think about. Because I know that I'm generally pretty secure in my employment. I have a great boss. I have great coworkers. We do cool things and we just take care of each other. So I didn't think like, oh, I'm going to lose my job or whatever. Well, and it probably hasn't even gone through my head appropriately too. How my life's going to be affected by this, at least. Like, nothing's happened right now, but I mean, that's not to say things couldn't happen. I took off this week because I was going to go to a music festival, but it got canceled. And so in my city, there's not that much like restrictions on what we can do, what we can't do. And so like things are like kind of normal. But if you look at like the internet and the media and everything that we're being told about this is like, well, this is when we have to like stay calm and get ready. So it's just like weird because it's like we're kind of waiting for something to happen, but in the meantime, things are still normal. But I don't know, like people came to work this weekend, but I was like, well, are people not going to leave the house? Are people taking this seriously? Are people not taking this seriously? So I've just been in this kind of weird state of like, I don't know what the heck's going on. And it's interesting because I'm not like freaking out about it either. And that could be for a couple of reasons. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today is just, I mean, I don't know, it just felt appropriate talking about we're being faced with this like existential crisis nearly. And I mean, it could just be completely portrayed as more dramatic than it is on the media, but I don't know, like who knows? We could all, I don't know, be wiped out. But like that's the thing is like shit like this can happen all the time and we just don't think that it's going to. And so that's something that I wanted to address because I feel like everybody's freaked out. Like, why do you think so many people are buying all this toilet paper? And everyone's like panicking, the grocery stores are empty. Like, to me, it just sounds like a weird Black Mirror episode. But I have just been thinking about why people are scared and why people have this mentality. And I mean, to me, I think it's like the mere fact of uncertainty and how scary that is to not know what the heck's going on. I'm sorry if my voice sounds weird. I had all my coffee, so I haven't drank water, and now my throat's like, you're talking, we need water. So yeah, where was I? We are scared of things that we don't know are going to happen. I think that this uncertainty is, yeah, it's terrifying, but we need to realize that this is just a part of life, and we can take these themes that apply here and then apply them elsewhere too. Why this uncertainty is scary for our egos. I mean, I think that's what happens when we get in this panic and we're just scared. We're scared of dying. And I mean, that was kind of like coming to like a way specific conclusion. But in my opinion, that's what I think. And so we're scared for our lives because we haven't even thought about dying. But this impermanence is like, it's a fact, and it's a fact of life. And it's like this cycle that I was talking about a couple episodes ago. It's just impermanence, and letting go of things is part of it. And the longer we hold on, the worse it's going to get. And we're just all about eliminating that suffering and creating a better reality for ourselves. So we must learn to be able to let go. In this episode, I just wanted to talk about kind of how we can stay grounded when there's nothing but chaos and madness and uncertainty and just lots of questions. I think that staying grounded is important in a time like this, and I'll share with you what's going on in my mind. So let's get started. Well, to me, when I realized that I've always been afraid of uncertainty and the unknown, and I think that's where a lot of my fear lives. And so I've really just kind of been navigating this relationship with uncertainty and the unknown, and have come to the realization that there's a lot of shit that we don't know. And there's a lot of room for wondering what's in that darkness and wondering what the heck's going to happen. And I just don't think we understand that it's like a part of our entire lives. I think it took me so freaking long to realize that it's just a part of life. And so, like, we don't even know what we're doing here, who put us here, what intelligence we came from. Like, we don't know. And we can try to get really close to knowing, but I don't think. I rest knowing that I'm not going to know. At least that's kind of where I'm at in the situation. But when we come with this approach of, okay, I'm going to acknowledge exactly what you are, and we're talking to uncertainty here. You are this big mass of just blurry gray, and I don't know what's in there. It's like when you're scared of the dark, and it makes sense that I am. It's like we don't know what's hiding in the shadows, and it might be freaking scary what's in the shadows. But like, we can't just pretend that shadows don't exist. And so I feel like when we can kind of make certain of this uncertainty, then that kind of takes a little bit of the fear away. And there's just been a lot of uncertainty in my life, and I feel like it really puts you to the test. What I'm thinking of right now is when I decided to quit my job, and I was like, who knows, like, I could go broke in these 2 months. And I didn't even know it was 2 months at that time. I could have just not had a job or not made enough money to support myself. And that's really scary. And that gives a lot of room and opportunity to freak out about all the possibilities. At least that's what I did and do. And I think it's our egos just like freaking out. They like comfort and security. And what I became aware of was how much energy I was directing towards anxiety and worry, assuming the worst, thoughts spiraling out of control. If you know, then you know what I'm talking about, because it's just like, it's like you can't stop. But it's because we're living constantly in this fearful mind state. I think that there's a healthy level of fear to have. Because, I mean, yeah, you care. You want to perpetuate your existence and survival, and it's natural to get scared of things that we have no idea about. But I think that when we can realize that this is a part of our human existence, and we're going to have a lot of times of uncertainty in our lives. Like, am I going to have enough money to buy these groceries? In this situation right now, like, am I going to even be able to find groceries because every store I go to is empty? It's like we didn't even think about that. But when we just become comfortable and accept the fact that we're going to have these times, and even on a level like when you're talking with your friend and you're not happy with their behavior and you're uncertain whether this conversation is going to be ending a friendship or strengthening one, and you don't know, and it's scary, and you want to prolong that scary moment. But sometimes you just have to dive into that uncertainty. And I think that when we can become comfortable with this idea that uncertainty exists and just kind of respect it for what it is, then we can get a better grip on life and other things. And I mean, it kind of sounds, I'm like, dang, that sounded really like negative and sad. But I mean, I think what's weird too is like everything in my priority list is put on pause because I'm like, well, I can't really play any shows right now. And I don't know, I just feel like there's like just a whole flop of priorities. And so I'm like, well, is this really important right now? And I mean, I think this is kind of a cool situation where that's a question that's on our mind right now. Like, is this important right now? Dang, I just like had a whole epiphany in the middle of my podcast. Yeah, geez. Whoa. That's funny that I'm getting this on recording. Yeah, I just thought about that. Like, that's what this whole experience is like we're being faced with our priorities of. I was actually just reading this article and it was talking about the illusion of like human life. Like, there are so many things that we're consumed with and worried about, and none of them are really that important when you realize like that your existence is at stake, kind of. But I think like that's why I really enjoyed it, because I immediately was like, well, that's a reason for this whole podcast, is when you come to terms with your mortality and come to terms with the fact that your time here is finite, then your priorities do shift and your values shift, and you're like, hey, is this actually really important right now? No, I'm not going to give it energy. So yeah, we're coming full circle. Where was I? Yeah, I think just, coming to terms with this uncertainty. And I get that it's scary, but that's when I try to remember that my ego is what's scared right now, and that if I can stay kind of present and grounded in knowing that I'm still part of this bigger idea, then things are okay for me in this moment. And I know that's not the case for everybody. And I know that when the ego is kind of ruling your life, then, and I haven't completely eliminated mine, and I've talked about it, and I don't think we need to completely eliminate it. But me saying all this doesn't mean that I don't have these experiences still, because I do. And it's scary how we can just trip out so easily and just complete minds overactive. That's what happens to me. I start thinking about all the crazy things. And it's been so long ago and I don't remember exactly. But I feel like I talked about this in the ego episode, where our ego is just worried about making sure we're safe and prolonging our survival. And thinking back, it's on the search for wholeness. And so any threat, any separation to this wholeness is like, oh, you're getting in the way of my safety. And so that's why the ego is freaking out. And I think that this uncertainty, yeah, it's uncertain whether you're going to make it on the other side. It's uncertain if you're going to be able to pay your rent today. Like, it's uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty. But I think it's an important moment to pause and stay grounded and let go of a lot of things. And that's really, 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 really hard. Probably one of the hardest things that we could ever do in our lives. Because letting go means kind of like breaking that comfort. And we don't know what's going to happen on the other side. We don't know what's going to happen when we let go. Like, I was just thinking of Mario for some reason. But if we let go of the character and he falls down the hole, we don't know where he's going. And it's so much safer and easier and comforting to just grab tighter, But it's kind of holding us back, because when we want to maintain our grips of control on a situation, then it almost just like makes it worse and harder. I don't know. For me, I realized I would just like worry so much and almost just like resist any letting go. I just wanted to just make sure I was so certain of a situation, but it's like digging a hole deeper. And sometimes, they say, let go and let God. This thing that you're trying to exude control over now has control over you. And you can lose yourself. We may think that we know what's going to happen, but the story usually goes that we fall on our heads and nothing is what we thought it was going to be. But it's all supposed to happen like that. And I think the more that we get comfortable with this kind of timeline of how things always go, then that will help us kind of learn to let go and learn that the cyclical nature is life, and letting go of attachment to things, we have to at some point. We're never going to be able to hold on to something forever, the same thing forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Like losing a job or losing a loved one or losing a race in Mario Kart. The more we hold on and hold tighter, the kind of more intense it gets for us. Something else that I've been thinking about too with this idea of impermanence is we, at our point in existence, have so many things to distract us from our mortality. And I think that a lot of us haven't thought about death, or it's too scary, or they don't want to. And it is really scary to think about our existence just not happening anymore. And I think I might sound a little blasé right now because I don't know what that would be like either, but I also am not ignoring it, I am taking that information and choosing to live consciously about it and live things the way I want to, because I know that I will die one day. And I think, I mean, I wouldn't want to die as a result of this, but it just kind of made me start thinking about, well, this is why it's important to practice gratitude and tell people that you love them and do kind things, because our existence is finite and we will die. And that's like the ultimate letting go. And I think that we are prolonging our suffering by pretending like it's not going to happen. But this has been a whole situation where it's like, yeah, Mother Nature can just fucking like halt on the brakes real quick if she wants to, and you have no control over that. We're having this whole thing happen and none of us like has a say in it. Like, we can't just pretend like it's not happening or didn't happen, and we're not going to be able to go back to normal for a second. So it's kind of like interesting to think about, like on a spiritual level, of what's happening and what's going on. And I think it's a good reminder to think about all these things. And at the end of the day, like, there's still so much beauty around us, and we're gonna get through whatever the heck's going on. But it's just these little things that we take for granted and we forget about. And I mean, it's intense. It's intense if you aren't ready for it. So to balance this intenseness, I mean, I feel like this is like, this isn't going to be the only episode that I talk about, impermanence and letting go and things like that. But I think this is an interesting like shift kind of in the consciousness. And now the collective's going to have this in their awareness of like, yeah, anything can change at any moment. And maybe that's a shift in my priorities. And so I'm trying to stay present during all of this and stay calm and stay hopeful and meditate on healing and growth and rest and kind of just, that natural pause of life, and stay grounded. And so a couple of ways that I do that, and I think that we can practice, is being mindful of our existence in this moment. We are alive right now, and I don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes or what's going to happen in 5 years or whatever, but I'm here, right here in this moment, and I'm safe right now. And I am alive and I'm breathing, and that is something that I'm grateful for. And I'm so excited today because the sun came out. It's been raining for 2 weeks and the birds are out, spring's coming, and even amidst all of this yuck, there's still so much to be grateful for and so much beauty around. And there's a cherry blossom tree in my backyard, and after this, I'm going to go look at it because it's so beautiful. But yeah, it always helps me to kind of go back to that natural beauty that surrounds me and that I'm a part of. Another thing is, time and time again, it's cyclical. Shit gets really bad, but then shit gets better, and we can kind of trust that from previous experience that things are going to be okay no matter what. It might take a lot of shit to go through to get on the other side, but it's not going to be bad forever. And on a serious existential level, like, yeah, if this does end up like crumbling civilization, or I don't know, maybe I'm being dramatic, But it's kind of like we get to go home after a long, long journey, and we go back to that wholeness. And I'm trying to be okay with that being a possibility. I mean, it's going to happen at some point, but anyways. And if we don't die, then we'll just have gone through this really weird experience together, and we get to keep trying, and we get to keep going, and we'll get better, and things will get better, and we'll figure it out for sure. Because like everything else, there's a cyclical nature of kind of creation and destruction and creation again and more destruction. And if this is the destruction part, then we know that there is a creation part coming up soon too. And so for me, in these times of uncertainty and lack and whatever, I try to focus on abundance and growth and creation and remind myself of that cyclical nature. And it's really interesting that all of this is kind of happening on a collective level. And these past few weeks, I've just been feeling in my own personal life this cyclical nature of just things are going to be weird and then things are going to be good, but things are going to get weird again, but don't forget they're going to get good again. And so it's like now I'm trying to kind of project this onto a universal level, and I still think that it can apply. Well, the only thing that we're certain of is that we're suggested to do social distancing and self-quarantining. So what am I going to do? I'm going to treat this as a mandatory rest stop. I have to get out. I have to stretch my legs. I have to do it. And so I am thinking, well, why don't I do some of these things that I've been thinking about in my busy life and do them? And for me, that's kind of, I still have a lot of stuff that's not unpacked from moving. It's really just like small stuff and just like little stuff. But I went through some makeup today, and I'm going to try to purge some clothes too. But there's just a lot of stuff that we kind of let slide by because we are so busy and working, and we don't have time to do this. And it's really a prioritization of time. But for me, I just let things go to shit. My house gets messy. I got clothes everywhere, stuff like that. And so this pause, I'm going to try to be intentional with it and do things that I know need to be done because, I mean, I don't have anything else to do. And this is also a good reminder to stay intentional with the time that you have, because we are the creators of our reality. And when we can set intention and create that for ourselves, then we can accomplish our goals and do what we want. So hopefully I kind of had moments where I was like, is this coherent right now? But I think that's still because I'm just like in a weird mind funk. Everybody's like talking about it on social media. So it's just like hard not to like be overexposed and what's true, what's fake, what's going on. I just have to like take care of my mental health in the meantime. So that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully you found some comfort in this podcast episode. If next week exists and things are normal, then I'm going to talk about relationships, and maybe they'll be a priority. Maybe things will, we don't even know what's going to happen in 7 days. So I'll still try to be recording as long as I have internet. And yeah. So I just wanted to talk about relationships as mirrors, get that kind of segment of the podcast started. I hope that you are all rid of your suffering and that everybody has shelter and food and all the things that they need, and that you're practicing good health and taking care of your minds and your bodies and your hearts. And this is Madeline, and I'll see you later. Bye. Thank you. Thanks again for tuning into this week's episode of Embrace the Madness. Don't forget to subscribe so you can learn to live your best life.